a new WRAL Weather Alert Day. I'll walk you through our warm weekend before the chances for showers and storms ramp back up.
Then a budget double whammy. Why federal cuts and income tax cuts have lawmakers on edge about a looming state budget shortfall coming sooner than you may think. Then a weight loss comeback. Why North Carolina's state treasurer says it's time to bring weight loss drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic back to the state health plan. Get ready for some more ups and downs in the weather department this weekend. We've got warm Saturday and then some rain possible Sunday. Come Monday, well, it's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Thanks for being here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. So we are set to hit the 80s this weekend. It's been a while since it's been that warm over a Saturday, Sunday period. Mike, we have a little rain on the back end. At least it'll wash the pollen away.
Yes, it will. And we've been talking all week about the potential for severe weather come Monday. And now it's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Showers and thunderstorms are likely with our next front. Current timing would roughly be from 5 o'clock till about midnight. Once we get high resolution model data over the weekend, we'll nail down the timing a whole lot better. Current threats, damaging winds, most likely hail, maybe an isolated tornado. Everybody across North Carolina does have that threat. Prior to that, it warms up. We had 80 today, 83 tomorrow. It'll be partly cloudy and breezy. 80 on Sunday with about a 30% chance for showers, ramping up to about a 40% at night. And then Monday, we have showers and storms that are likely. The system is evolving across the plains tomorrow, making its way to the east. It turns into a level 3 threat across parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley, which includes tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail. And then for us on Monday, we'll probably end up being a level 2 threat. Anthony and Chris will have a look at the threat on Monday from the Storm Prediction Center. They'll tell you the exact threats. And then there's the front Monday evening with showers and storms being likely. I'll outline this with Futurecast coming up in less than 15 minutes.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and we are following breaking news right now in Wake Forest, where we are tracking pretty significant power outage. Wake Forest Power, which is run by the town, says they have about 2,000 customers that are without electricity right now, all because of some sort of a problem at the substation just off of Capitol Boulevard near Highway 98 in that red area. Those are the spots that are affected. So you're talking about a lot of traffic signals also that are out along Capitol Boulevard all the way down toward Falls of Neuse Road and beyond on the south side of Wake Forest. And according to the town, police officers are directing traffic right now at some of those intersections. There is no estimate for when the town hopes to have power restored, and also no details about exactly what kind of problem there is at the power station. If we get updates during this newscast, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let's hope that restoration happens soon. Thanks, Brian. Let's get you caught up now with some of today's big headlines. Here are 5 things you should know right now. The Black Cove Complex fire is still the largest fire burning in western North Carolina. It's more than 3,200 acres in size. It's 17% contained. It's one of more than 100 active wildfires statewide, burning more than 8,000 acres total. 34 counties and Cherokee tribal lands continue to operate under a state of emergency. All lanes of I-95 are back open after a tractor-trailer crash closed a lane for hours. Sky 5 flew over the scene in Johnston County near the Kenley-Wilson exit. The tractor-trailer was on its side just off the interstate. Now get this, the driver told troopers he sneezed, and looking up, he was going off the road. He then overcorrected and overturned down the embankment. Oh, a real mess. The driver is not hurt, fortunately, but will be ticketed. A man was hit by a car in Raleigh this afternoon. It happened on Gorman Street around 1 p.m. Police tell us the car was only traveling about 5 miles per hour when the man was hit. No word if the driver was facing any charges.
Hey, leave a little extra time if you're going to be driving near the Beltline and Hillsborough Street tomorrow. Crews will close eastbound lanes of Hillsborough Street around I-440 interchange tonight. They're going to be working on the bridge there. Lanes close at midnight. They should be back open tomorrow around 6 p.m. Power tool company Steel is opening a new facility in Orange County. The company held a grand opening and ribbon cutting this morning. It's a new facility will serve as a key hub for distributor and dealer training. Steel has had its operation in Orange County since 1999 between facilities in Hillsborough and Mebane. North Carolina lawmakers are drawing up some new plans for how to spend your tax dollars in the next state budget. But the job might be a little more complicated this year for 2 reasons: cuts to federal funding and state income tax. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie has the story.
The Trump administration says the federal government is bloated. It's making big cuts to federal funding, and some of that money is part of our state budget. We've already seen more than $100 million in cuts from public health funding. Lawmakers worry we could lose billions more for everything from Medicaid to schools to farm subsidies to scientific research.
That is the elephant in the room. The uncertainty of federal dollars impacts every single department we have in government.
Some of the federal cuts have been temporarily blocked by the courts, but if they take effect, state lawmakers could find themselves under pressure to pick up the tab. However, state lawmakers are also implementing cuts to corporate and individual income taxes, reducing the amount of money coming in. Republican leaders say the cuts will boost the economy because they'll put more money in people's pockets. But economists say the state could face a budget shortfall as soon as next year. And that means even less money will be available to cover federal cuts. For now, GOP lawmakers say they're betting their fellow Republicans in Congress will not follow through on some of the biggest cuts.
The folks in Washington have a long history of talking about a lot of things and a very short list of things they actually do.
Democratic Governor Josh Stein wants Republican lawmakers to hold off on the planned tax cuts. GOP leaders tell us they have no plans to do so at this time. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Boy, this is a big topic, though. Our NC Capitol team does go deep on the state budget crunch. You can read all about it. The coverage Sunday morning. Find it on WRAL.com.
The Battle of the Blues was on deck in Birmingham today. The UNC women's basketball team took on Duke in the Sweet 16. Maybe you watched it. It was a heartbreaker for the Tar Heels as Duke advances to the Elite Eight. But there's one UNC fan who, despite their loss, should be feeling pretty good tonight. Look carefully at the hair scrunchie being worn on the court by number 10, Renaya Kelly. That scrunchie was made by a young UNC fan who handed them out to the team before they left for Alabama. The team loved the scrunchies so much, they put out a call to find her.
Hey UNC basketball fans, a little girl at our last game made us these scrunchies and we would really like to thank her, but we don't know who she is. So if you know, please let us know.
All right, well, meet Gracie. Here she is, a 9-year-old third grader from Chapel Hill who crocheted the scrunchies during this past Monday's game. She knit 13 of them. We tracked her down this afternoon, and she tells us she was beyond thrilled when she saw the players wearing them.
We were jumping with joy, squealing, crying. It was just amazing. It was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. They're actually wearing them on live TV. I love this.
Gracie says she doesn't think the women get enough attention, so she wanted to show them some love. And she hopes to meet the players one day. I bet she will, Dan.
She's too cute. I love that. So let's talk about those weight loss drugs that I'm sure you're aware of. They're not cheap, first of all, and that's why the North Carolina health plan doesn't cover them right now. But our state treasurer wants to change that, why he wants to bring them back, and what the coverage would really look like. We're going to go in depth on this Friday, and it's right after the break. The new state treasurer wants the state health plan to start covering those weight loss drugs. Again, the GLP-1s. We stopped last year because simply it was too expensive, but he wants to bring them back, and he wants to do that for a few reasons. The first reason is pretty simple, because they work. There are numerous studies proving this that go back decades. Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, Mounjaro, many others can all help you to lose weight. They do this in a few different ways. They slow digestion so that you feel full for longer. They reduce your appetite by manipulating your hypothalamus, which regulates hunger. They keep your blood sugar from spiking, which helps diabetics. Also helps non-diabetic people from feeling fatigued and hungry shortly after eating. And maybe the biggest factor, they influence the dopamine to your brain, which can reduce cravings. So since they work, that brings us to reason number 2. When obese people lose weight, they get healthier. As we know, obesity makes almost everything worse, everything from heart disease to the flu. Being overweight is a risk factor. So the rationale is, while these drugs may cost the state more upfront, having a healthier population will save money in the long run. And that brings us to reason number 3. we have lots of overweight people in North Carolina. The CDC started tracking obesity 40 years ago in 1985. At the time, no state reported a rate higher than 15% of the population. In 2023, the CDC reported 34% of adults in North Carolina are obese. Other studies say it's even worse than that. A research group out of the University of Chicago said that the number was closer to half of the population, with 1 in 3 kids between 10 and 17 either overweight or obese. Now, why are there more overweight people today than in 1985? Well, that's a long answer that's been studied for a long time. Processed food, access to grocery stores, access to money, genetics, addiction to sugar, gut bacteria, injuries, your habits, your choices, your age. There are tons of factors, and you can blame people for some of those, but not for all of them. Regardless, these drugs fight all of those factors, which is why they're so popular. So popular, in fact, that the state health plan was going broke covering them when they were being covered, and they had to stop last year after they made up roughly 10% of all pharmacy spending. And that's why, if the state does bring them back, there will be some limits. Now, the person pitching this plan is our new state treasurer and chair of the board of trustees for the state health plan, Brad Briner. Here's my discussion with him about the future of GLP-1 drugs in North Carolina. If we're looking at kind of the long-term picture, this is where that GLP-1 conversation comes in. Give us an idea of the plan with that moving forward, because a lot of people want this back.
And they should want it back. I think 2 things just to level set on where we are. GLP-1s work. People know that. We know that. 2, we suspended coverage of them a year ago, and we had no choice. The structure of our contract at the time, and we're seeking to amend this, did not allow us to distinguish between the person who wanted to lose 5 pounds for the summer and 150 pounds because of serious medical complications. We had to provide it just the same to everybody. Couldn't afford that. We were headed towards spending $250 million on GLP-1s. And as a deficit matter, we already had a problem. We couldn't make that worse with that. We seek to get back to coverage of those GLP-1s next year, maybe sooner.
At first, though, the plan is to have it for a specific group, though, correct?
Yes.
And those are people with a much higher BMI.
Right. What we've proposed to the legislature, and we understand that money is tight, is for a $100 million program around this. That would cover about 14,000 people. It would be a comprehensive weight management program. So we're not just going to give people shots and hope for the best. We're going to wrap them in a program that supports them in a number of different ways, because it's not just the medicine, it's lifestyle changes, it's behavior changes, it's checking in with your primary care provider that really get the best effect. I come out of the corporate world, and so we've looked at the corporate world for inspiration here. AT&T actually runs a wonderful program around this, and we are borrowing liberally from them to set it up. We're hopeful to get an appropriation separate and apart from the state health plan to do this. I'm not sure that's in the cards given the financial state of play, and so we're exploring other options to bring this back in 2026.
Reasonably, you could find this to be a silly question, but when you put a certain limit on it, you kind of open up this hypothetical for a person who is nearing that limit to encourage them to continue being unhealthy in order to cross that barrier to reach the care that they need. So, how do you grapple with that hypothetical but potentially realistic situation?
You also have the inverse. When they lose the weight and they're below the limit, what do we do? Do we keep them on it, or do we take them off it? And so there are some details you have to work through. It is not going to be a 38.0 BMI or else kind of program. We'll look at what other complicating factors they have, and we'll seek to stack those to get the maximum effect for as many people as possible as we implement this program, depending on the money we have to do it.
Now, it's important to say these drugs can have side effects, all right? Some are less pleasant than others. Nausea is by far the most common side effect, depending on which medication it is that you're taking. Other side effects include dizziness, mild increased heart rate, headaches, things like that. Some of the rarer, more severe side effects include rapid loss of fat in the face, kidney problems, jaundice, or severe stomach pain. Frankly, we're all unique people. We all react uniquely to medication. And as more variations of these drugs continue to emerge, more people are taking them for various reasons, we're going to learn a whole lot more about them and what they do to us. But the bottom line is, according to medical consensus, for the general population, the risks of being obese far outweigh the known risks of these GLP-1 medications. What does that mean for you? I don't know. Ask your doctor, not a news guy, or the state treasurer. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on these medicines? Should the state cover them? Should they only be for certain people? Email dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what is on your mind. And as always, we will go in depth. And if you enjoyed tonight's segment, you want to know more about my conversation with Treasurer Briner, tune in to this weekend's episode of On the Record. We talk about Briner's history in the finance world, his take on Bitcoin, how he plans to invest your tax dollars. That episode airs tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Check it out.
These drugs are so popular, a ton of interest in that. I very carefully selected my wardrobe for tonight. I'm calling this blazer off pollen.
There you go.
Nice. It's so
Won't be able to see the pollen
there.
on you at all. Yeah, pollen allergy medicine definitely coming in handy today for those who have problems. Look how high the grasses are. They've been medium pretty much all week. Now they're up in the high side. So if you're having issues with grass pollen, you're probably feeling it today. Of course, trees are still on the high side. Primary culprits, pine and oak. Everything is yellow thanks to that pine pollen that's floating out there. And everything's going to stay yellow through the weekend. 77 out at RDU, the dew point 43. We got up to 80 today. There are some folks visiting the WRAL gardens, and we invite you to come down this weekend if you don't have issues with the pollen. It will be warmer tomorrow and it will be breezy. A nice day to hang out in the WRAL gardens. It's nice and peaceful. Too bad we don't have like hammocks out there where you can just relax in. 77 in Morrisville, 74 in Garner, 74 in Nightdale, 75 at Wake Forest. Definitely don't need the jackets this evening. Fayetteville, you folks had 80 today. You're at 77 now. 71 at South Hill, 72 in Roxborough. So we do have a pleasant evening in progress. By the time we get to about 11 o'clock tonight, it's only 66, and tomorrow morning we expect about 59. We had about 53 this morning for the low, so it will be a milder night. So the big weather story we're watching is the storm system that's coming together across the plains. There's a bit of energy here over the lower Mississippi Valley that's generating severe thunderstorms. There's a tornado watch. There have been some tornado warnings, but the main energy will start to get going in this area during the day on Saturday, make its way into the mid-Mississippi Valley on Sunday, and then move into our area during the day on Monday. So this is something we've been talking about all week. We've been showing Futurecast day after day, and it's been fairly consistent. Now, our meteorologists, Chris Michaels and Anthony Baglione, will have access to high-resolution model data this weekend. I urge you to tune in this weekend to see what they're saying, because with the high-resolution model data, they'll get a better idea of timing and the actual threats. Now, for us on Sunday, the rain chance is very limited, only about a 30% chance for showers. Heading into the evening, it's about a 40% chance for showers, maybe a storm. And there's the main event off to the west Monday morning at 7 a.m., shifting to the east. As of right now, it looks like the time frame would be late afternoon and into the evening hours. And outside of any thunderstorms, it should be a windy day. 10 o'clock Monday night, scattered showers and storms. And then once we get past midnight, the line moves on by. And as I've been saying all week, the Durham Bulls game looks pretty good, the home opener on Tuesday. So the American model showing about a 42 hundredths of an inch of rain. The European model about 36 hundredths of an inch. It'll wash away some of the pollen, but it's not a big soaking that the mountains are expecting to see. Southwestern mountains could see 1 to 2 inches of rain, which would certainly be great news. So it is milder overnight, mid to upper 50s for the lows, 59 in Raleigh, 59 Fayetteville. Dew points were in the 40s today. They shift into the 50s tomorrow. We have low 80s for highs, so I would think the fire danger would go down just a little bit. And then during the day on Sunday, those dew points go up into the 60s, so it's going to start to feel more humid. And you might consider turning on the air conditioning during the day tomorrow with these warmer temperatures. Morning lows go up, 64 Monday morning, 80 in the afternoon, the WRAL weather alert day. Tuesday and Wednesday, we have a couple of comfortable days, and then the heat is really on by next Friday. We're shooting for 86, but if there's enough sunshine, we could get up to the record high of 88.
You know, I love these temperatures, but I do have to say, talking so much about the wildfires out west, I look at these temperatures and the low humidity and stuff, and I do feel for the folks out there. So I think they're very much looking forward to this weather alert day on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
So if you watch us here on Fridays, you know a lot of you do, we typically end our Friday newscast with a moment of nostalgia where we kind of look back in time at some things. But tonight, instead of looking to the past, we'd like to look to the future. And we're going to start with a very special guest to kick off our One Last Thing.
Now, for one last thing.
Phoebe.